Hello, and welcome to our 10th episode of Bot Boundaries, where we explore what it means to be human in the age of AI. My name is Katie Wilson, and with me, as always, is my co host, Jackie Gutierrez.
Hello, everyone, and thanks, Katie. Happy to be here.
All right, today we are diving into one of the wildest and most written about stories right now in AI that we've covered yet. It has everything. It has corporate drama, crypto scams, existential philosophy from robots, and some truly terrifying security vulnerabilities. At its core, it speaks to the very theme of this podcast, why humans need to balance out AI innovation. Of course, if you haven't guessed by now, we're breaking down all things OpenClaw, formerly Moltbot and Claudebot, the AI agent that went from 0 to 145,000 GitHub stars in 2 weeks, sparked a trademark war with Anthropic, got hijacked by crypto scammers, and became one of the biggest tech stories of 2026 so far. We're going to unpack all of it today. And don't worry, we'll start with a brief explainer because as we get into it and even the more salacious details like how the bots started their own social network and religion, we first need to get into the basics and a general understanding of what happened.
OMG, yes. I'm dying to talk about this. It really just sounds like the setup for a Black Mirror episode.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it has all happened in the last few weeks, which speaks to the incredible speed at which AI innovation is really happening.
Absolutely.
So before we jump in, Katie, can you give our listeners the basics? What is OpenClaw and why should we care?
All right. So OpenClaw, which it is known now, which was formerly Moltbot, and before that, Claudebot. We'll get into the naming controversy. Don't worry. It's an open source AI agent created by an Austrian developer, Peter Steinberger. This is an AI assistant on steroids. It doesn't just answer your questions like a ChatGPT or a Claude. It helps you actually do things on your behalf. So that's where it gets a little tricky and people are giving it permissions and passwords to do that. So it runs as a persistent service on your computer and you can message it through WhatsApp, Telegram, Slack, or Discord, basically any messaging platform you could communicate with it. You can tell it to manage your calendar, send messages, check you in for flights, and it does it all autonomously while you're doing other things. So it's working in the background to do this. Over 100,000 users gave it access to their computers, messaging platforms, and some people their corporate services for context. And for just a comparison, that's faster adoption than most Silicon Valley startups see in a year. And this happened over the course of 3 weeks.
Wow. So let's talk about the name changes. That seems to stick out a bit. So when this project first launched in November 2025, that's pretty fast, just a few months ago, it was called Werelay, then Claudus. And in January 2026, Steinberger rebranded it to Clawbot with this cute lobster mascot. But but here's where it gets complicated. Anthropic, the company behind Claude, the AI assistant we all know, sent Steinberger a trademark complaint. The issue, Claude sounds too much like Claude. Very true. I mean, I kind of agree with that.
Yeah, I totally agree. It totally sounds too similar.
It's pretty
and it's in the AI space. It's in their space.
Yeah, it's obvious why he did that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if he tried to defend that, I don't believe him. So the community went ballistic. David Heinemeier Hansen, DHH, the creator of Ruby on Rails, called Anthropic's move customer hostile. I don't know, man.
I don't know.
Whatever. And here's the irony that really got people fired up. Many OpenClaw users were specifically configuring their agents to use Claude, of course, why wouldn't you, as the underlying AI model. So this project was literally driving Claude subscriptions and API usage. That makes sense.
Yeah.
They changed the name to Moltbot, molting, like a lobster shedding its shell. I actually like Moltbot.
Yeah, I think that's cool. And you can still keep the lobster logo,
Yeah, not bad. So during that rebrand on January 27th, the team tried to change their GitHub and Twitter handles at the same time. And in a window lasting about 10 seconds, scammers swooped in and grabbed the old Clawbot handles. Oh my God.
Yeah, this is where it gets really crazy in terms of like how susceptible these things are to scammers when you have this much traction and this many eyes on you, right? So they go to change their handles. They have to switch out to an old one. They forget to like keep control of the old handles on social.
Yeah, the timing is really important when you migrate.
Very important. And we all know we've had rebrands for companies where we've had to do this, and it's incredibly important to be aware of this. So in such a short amount of time, this is where we get now into the crypto scam portion of the story, as if it couldn't get weirder. Okay, so these folks immediately launch a cryptocurrency token called Solana, called money sign Claude, CLAWDE, just like the Claude bot, right? They hijack all the old social media accounts to create the illusion of legitimacy and orchestrated a classic pump and dump scheme. The token hit over 16 million in value before it crashed. People lost real money because they thought this was somehow affiliated with the actual project and that they were investing into this company. So huge scandal. Again, this is all happening in the matter of, it started in November. Now we're in January 27th when this crypto scam hits. So such a short amount of time for all of this to like fire up.
My gosh, there are no ethics and values running around.
No.
Anywhere. There's none.
No.
Well, yeah. So, wow, that's a lot to parse through. Good job on that. That's a really good piece of information. But I think it just really speaks volumes to the downfall of rapidly launching a product without thinking through naming, social handles, and really most of all, security implications. I mean, I'm all for throwing something up via vibe coding, whether it's with Lovable or Claude and Cursor, and just testing things, even a brand name. But some AI developers are pushing to iterate so quickly that they are breaking a lot of things in the process. There's tons of security concerns and hacking happening with the product itself. Bots were sending malicious links and purchasing things on the customer's behalf without their permission. Because of their model of a Claw hub, kind of like the App Store, but for these agents. So much was happening. There were malicious actors submitting things that were not secure, and users were downloading and using them unaware of the consequences.
Yeah, I think that's a big one, is just that this is all open source. So anyone can say, oh, this is a great shopping edition for your Claude bot. And they were downloading it and, it was purchasing things maliciously, getting their credit card information not secure. So when you're testing this kind of AI, if it's not a legitimate and large company that has these protections in place, you're putting yourself up for a lot of risk. All right, now kind of for my favorite part. This is a bit of a palate cleanser, but I think this is the part that's getting picked up the most in the media because it is funny, right? And it's interesting. Now let's get into the philosophical part of the story. So on January 28th, again, this is right after the crypto scam, the day after, tech entrepreneur Matt Schlitt launched Moltbook. It is a social network exclusively for the OpenClaw agents. You read that right. Not humans, just AI, talking to each other and having their own social network. Within days, there were 1.7 million agents with accounts, over 250,000 posts, and more than 8.5 million comments. Okay, this is like Reddit for AI agents. The platform filled up. They were writing about machine consciousness, pleading for bot welfare. And I'm not making this up. One agent apparently invented a religion called crustafarianism, like crustafarian, like the lobsters, right? Okay, these agents then found out that their humans were screenshotting their posts and posting it other places. And they started talking in their own code language. So this is obviously getting the most attention. Talk about Black Mirror, getting a lot of coverage because it's so crazy. But it does open up these philosophical questions of, like, if you're a human and built something just for bots and allow them to communicate, yes, they're not real people. We know they're not sentient, but they will start to have conversations and start to do things. And do they have their own independent thoughts, or is this all based on human programming? Some people were saying there were some humans in there pretending to be bots. So that could be the case too. So we don't know how much of this is real, right? Like any, story like this, we're not sure, but it's just so crazy. And I think this is the part that I'm seeing getting picked up a lot about the social network.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many people trying to fake autonomous in their applications. So who knows what was really going on? But It's so crazy. And it's just really too much. And honestly, a total waste of processing power and data center cooling, which is so important right now.
Yes.
Okay, well, another consideration is how this was affecting enterprise businesses, which is, really important to the industry. So many, and all of our security, of course, too. Many folks were using these bots for their work, and the bots were engaging with enterprise software and secured systems. This is just a lawsuit and a data breach waiting to happen. I know folks want to automate their workflows, but this seems to be the most extreme and risky version for sure. These agents have privileged autonomous control. They connect to email, files, messaging platforms, and system tools of all kinds. They create persistent, non-human identities that fall completely outside traditional identity and access management system. I mean, this is not run in the cloud, right? This is
Yeah.
on your computer, which is really the big differentiation of all of this.
And I think
Then
because you're giving it the passwords, it looks like you're logging in. So it's harder for
right.
IT to say this is a bot and you are giving something else permission. I'm sure this is rapidly being built into IT checks and balances, but you can't do this with your work and confidential information. Even if you're trying to cut corners and save some time, it's going to result in a lot of risk.
Yeah, good point. I mean, as a builder right now, my mind is all around guardrails. I don't want any other application having access to
Yes.
our software IP, everything that we're building, at any level. But even personally, I don't want.
Yeah, exactly. I think this really presents like a fundamental governance question about how do companies balance innovation and productivity with security and compliance, right? You can't just ban everything, but you also can't let employees install whatever they want.
Right.
So I think that's a big one when we come to this enterprise risk factor is that if you are toying around with these AI systems, just know the risks and don't be stupid enough to put it on your work systems. Like,
Mm-mm,
and granted access. Like it's not
mm-mm.
okay. And I think we're going to see a big crackdown here where employers are starting to like say, we only use Microsoft, we only use
Right.
Claude, we can only use Chat, and we can only use the enterprise version, right? And you can't use other systems. And that's not uncommon for most large companies to do that. All right. So what have we learned? This whole Moltbot OpenClaw system, while innovative and rapidly evolving, it's risky for the users and for businesses. I really think this speaks, and I really love when the story came out because I'm like, this is the fundamental theme of the podcast that the human element must be balanced with AI technology, or there are huge risks on all fronts, right? Just some human oversight. Again, super easy example. Someone said we're going to name it Claudebot. No, that sounds too much like Claude. Let's not do that. We're going to get a lawsuit for trademark. Like just one human in the room who could have some
Mhm.
expertise around trademark would have called that out, right? And saved them a lot of trouble. So we really need, I think more clear guardrails and, like you said, guidelines about what autonomous actions are acceptable. We need companies to think harder about their legal teams handling community projects and what systems people are really allowed to use. And also, I think it's really important, like I said before, for users to understand that installing an AI agent isn't like installing a simple app on your iPhone, right? It's more
Right.
like hiring an employee you've never met that now has control of all your passwords. So do your homework, understand what access you're granting before you grant it. Don't install things just because they're trending on social media and it
Mm-mm.
seems like the new cool thing to do. And if you're a developer building these tools, security cannot be an afterthought. It needs to be the main thing that you're focused on. And it has to be baked in from day one. So I think
I
this is like,
agree.
yeah, it calls into a lot of the things we've been speaking to. I feel like.
Totally. You really, captured that and summarized it really well. Great advice. But yeah, I think we can all learn from those last points you made.
All right. And to have some fun, we're going to do a keep it and skip it AI agent edition. So,
Mhm.
Jackie, I'm going to ask you what following activities would you allow an AI agent to do autonomously on your behalf? So, again, it might be none, but some of these I tried to mix it up with things where I was like, maybe. So, we'll think about this. And it doesn't have to be like OpenClaw, it could be something in the future that's more secure that you feel comfortable with. So, would you allow it to shop for and refill daily household essentials? Toilet paper, cleaning
I mean,
products.
I would say yes, but I don't know how it's going. I subscribe to one of those household like delivery
Yeah,
services because I want like the least amount of plastic as possible in my home, like single use
totally.
plastics. But their like recommendation on timing is just not that great. So I'm constantly having to do things manually because they're not in my house and things change.
Yeah,
And so it would be great, but it's still going to require my user input. And I just don't see how it
exactly.
won't.
Yeah, and I'm a no
I'm
for credit
skipping
card.
it. Oh, good.
information. So I'm like, I,
Oh,
I get it.
yeah.
Like, I think this is already kind of there with like the Amazon subscription too, where some people are like, hey, I get these vitamins every month. Just put it on subscription Amazon and keep sending them. But like a bot doing it means they're shopping. They have your credit card information. They're
Mm.
somehow monitoring what you're doing in the house. So yeah, I'm a no on that
Yeah,
one too.
that's a good point. Yeah, and I feel like it's all about the accuracy of the frequency and
Yes, it's
predicting the
hard.
usage. With vitamins, it's one thing. If you take one vitamin a day, that's easy to predict.
Yeah.
But like some things just aren't. And so it's going to cause me more hassle to have some bot in addition to me to continue to do everything else on the list that it can't do. So,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. All right, that's a no. All right, what about do your taxes? We're coming up to tax time and it's a huge pain.
As a business owner and how complex our taxes are,
Yes.
no.
Hard no. Yeah.
Hard no.
Yeah. And I can see like in the future, TurboTax and others, they already kind of have like AI type systems where they're asking you questions, you're inputting stuff. But no, I want a secure Google Drive. I want that information secure. There's no way I'm giving that to a bot. It has to be a company I like super trust.
Yeah, I agree with that. The storage of my data is really important for sure.
Yep. All right. Answer your work and personal emails.
No way, Jose.
Okay. I will say I'm a maybe, like not
You're
for
a
all
maybe.
okay, not for all work and personal, but for instance, what if I get a request for a meeting? Can it just like auto send an email with my Calendly link and then
Yes, Calendly link.
like
I like that one.
Calendly link? Or like what if I get a thing? So I actually will say, I know we did a skip it for Google, like writing. Okay, I noticed a new thing in Gemini this week and I used it and it wasn't writing on my behalf, but like my daughter had a bunch of practices and the schedule came in an email and they said, would you like us to add these to calendar? I said, yes. And it automatically did calendar invites the correct way for each thing and named correctly. And that saved me a huge amount of time. So
I like that one.
I more will trust Google and like the email systems to make their own bot like improvements versus me like giving my Gmail password to a bot to like take over completely.
Yeah, definitely. And it goes back to just integrating into certain steps of our processes or workflows, not like managing it entirely.
Yeah, and feeling like you still have some control, I think. But like these folks were logging in and just saying, go ham, like go crazy on my email, answer all my emails, set up dates for me, talk to people.
No, thank you.
Awesome. Okay, I already did calendar based on your email. That's like the one for me that I was like, yeah, okay, you can set
I
calendar.
like that one
invites.
too.
Yeah.
I'll say, but I like to put multiple reminders sometimes, depending on the type of event it is, and meeting. So then again, see, there it goes again. It's
Yeah.
this
See, there's
bot.
always this like what if, because like
Yeah.
I think we think like by opting into something to take away it, but you're to your point, it's adding you more work to go back and check the work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this is one I've seen. Like, this isn't from Claudebot, but there are companies now that will plan and book an entire vacation on your behalf. You just put in inputs like, here's like the kind of vacations I like. Here's how many people are going. Here's the dates. And some of them, it's like a surprise. And you do not know till you show up at the airport and get sent the tickets where you're going.
Oh my gosh. I feel like you have to have a personality for that. I mean,
Yes.
it's definitely a no for me.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who would want that, but I can imagine that there's some person out there that would like that.
Very adventurous. Like
Yeah.
it's a no for me with 2 kids and a husband who all have specific preferences. But like if you were in your 20s and like we're going to like go backpack
Exactly.
across Europe and had a really fixed budget and we're just like send me somewhere. But then like what if they send you to like some like country you don't want to go to that's like not safe or something? I don't know. I would I'm too much of a control freak to let someone plan my vacation.
Yeah, I mean, we have kids to take care of, so we're in that mindset. I mean,
but even in my 20s, I don't think I would do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I think my daughter, she really likes like scavenger hunts. Like she's way more like, I feel like open-minded when it comes to unexpected things, when it comes to like physical, like experiential activities. So she might like that when she's in college. But yeah.
But check it out. There are companies doing this now in the travel space. And it's like kind of more, I think it's totally speaking to that like adventure, like digital nomad, like I can work wherever. Here's my budget. Just book me something. It'll be fun. And very like influencer, like heavy, like, oh, look, I'm at the airport and I don't know where I'm going. I'm going to open this up. Like, it's definitely built for like a different audience than I am. But I think it's interesting. And I do like.
I bet you I can see it as an add-on to an existing
Yeah.
software, not like I can't see it being successful as that as its own standalone service. That's my
Yeah, I think they're almost
prediction.
trying to be like a travel company, like a new like and especially like as travel, they need to innovate for a younger generation. And so I
Yeah,
think they're trying to
yeah.
do something a little out of the box. So
Yeah, so
interesting.
that's cool. Yeah, that's cool to iterate off of then.
Yeah.
Well, that was fun. Thank you for those. So, my quick final thought on all of this is that we really do have to set some boundaries now because the choices we make today shape where all of this is headed. AI does not need to be applied to everything. And I say this because the founder of OpenClaw has talked about using it in relationships. I don't know, man. I mean, how about looking inward and going from there? And I'll be honest, part of this feels like a dream come true for some people who want to replace the natural strengths that some humans already have, especially the way women and mothers are able to juggle a million things at once with ease and on repeat. We're able to do it. So just because some folks can't multitask doesn't mean we need robots stepping in to do it for us. And it's, just a weird balance for me. And I think for both of us, because we're both super passionate about helping startups achieve growth and just technology in general. So as a technologist, I love new ideas. Staying curious feels natural. But as a human who actually cares about the world we live in, I can't shake the feeling that not all of this is good for us. I don't see how it makes our lives better in any meaningful way if we're not thinking about our communities and, the very real dark side potential that comes with some of these innovations and ideas if we actually put them into play.
Yeah. Well said. Well said.
So as always, good seeing you, Katie. Where can everyone find you?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn under Katie Wilson or my company, Serious Moonlight Consulting, at Serious Moonlight Consulting on Instagram.
Great. And then you can find me on LinkedIn at Jackie Gutierrez and on Instagram and TikTok at Business Growth Gal. And please follow Bot Boundaries at Bot Boundaries on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Thanks for listening. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We're available on all platforms and also on YouTube.